How's it hanging, dudes? My name is Sean, and welcome back to Brutal Games and another Cyberpunk 2077 video. That's right, guys, we're back to our regular schedule. Let's retry that. We're back to our regular scheduled programming, and we had a podcast done yesterday, and those probably won't happen as often. I only want to do the podcast whenever we need some long-form content of somebody who's very special to have on, you know, so that's that. Check it out if you like. Other than that, we are back to Cyberpunk 2077, and it's been a couple days, man, and it's been wearing on me. I'm telling you, it's been wearing on me. And the more I've been looking at Cyberpunk 2077, the more I've been delving into the wiki pages and Storian Games and Kazuliski and Neon Arcade. I've been watching so many videos, and I've just been absorbing as much as I possibly can. And it dawned on me that I never really understood just how scary or dark or, I guess, dystopian the future of Night City really is, the 2077 version of Cyberpunk. And we know that, you know, corporations have been kind of at the top of the rung for quite a while within this ulterior timeline of America within Cyberpunk, right? But when I go back to it, it's really kind of crazy just how freaky it all is. Like, if I can break it down for you guys, Cyberpunk 2077 is, you know, sort of set in this kind of Blade Runner-esque dystopian future. Like, a neon skyline of Night City is deceptive to the faraway eye, you know what I mean? I mean, it hides, like, some of the city's darkest secrets, only knowable to those who are, like, in the thick of the chaos, who are putting in the work, and usually at the top of the ladder or trying to climb, ready to pull back the person who's right in front of them. It's really a dog-eat-dog world. At the top, megacorps pull strings, and at the bottom, gangs and mercenaries form a lawless society of violence and crime. The government really has no bearing on society. They literally just run the perimeters of the country. They allow people in and out, and it's just there for trade. You know, and of course, the government's so corrupt, and the lobbyists are and on top of that, there's so many free states in America now that the government of America is no longer existent, really, as it used to be. So at the top we have these megacorps, and at the bottom we have all these mercenaries and all this, you know, lawlessness. And in the middle, there's a juxtaposition of the two. The crime from below has a presence, but the lights above seem within reach, if only barely. The middle contains the dreamers, those who will stop at nothing to earn themselves a position in the upper echelons of this broken society. Night City's grit is defined by its dreamers, who refuse to be pulled down. Even in this gone-to-shit world, the American dream is alive and kicking. Society may seem to have progressed in an ever-conceivable way, from technology to medicine, yet it's lost its sense of humanity. Nobody really there's not that many people looking out for one another. The American dream is the dream to get out, to break free. There is nothing for anyone in Night City except for the promise of a chance, even if it is a small one. The ability to rise in the corporate ladder, or the ability to rise in the underground society enough to I guess gain enough for yourself to keep at bay all the opposing factions, which there are so many of. In the 48-minute gameplay released by CD Projekt Red, you can see that when V goes on her accompanied solo run and accomplishes her mission and safely gets the client to the evac area, she's not greeted with the friendly "we'll take it from here." You know, keep in mind she's just risked her life battling all these enemies, probably for a modest sum. And in fact, Trauma Team International goes out of their way to treat V almost the same as she herself has treated the aforementioned attackers, right? And it really just goes to show just how deep the divide between upper society, lower society, and that rift of money, just how bad it really is. You can also see, by the way, Dex Tashawn just talks about doing business. Here, let's roll that clip real quick.
Interested, sure. Tell me more.
Well, glad to hear. Before we get started on this, though, I need to be sure. Sure you all right.
And the nature of this test?
Slaughter in the show. See, got a classic tale for you. Psycho gang, just doing his thing, jumped a corp convoy. got away with gear. Now I need me that little combat body. They call it the Flathead. Of course, I got the Eddies to buy it, but me and the Maelstrom boys ain't the best of friends. No flow to our convo, see.
Who's the woman?
Corporal agent. She's on the hunt for the dogs who sold the Gangoon's info on the convoy. Got herself a prisoner. Her chief suspect, most likely. Going on 20 hours since the convoy was jumped, and she still don't have no guilty party. Gotta be desperate by now. Be wise to think how you could use that. Got any questions for me?
Clear on it all, I think. Time I got to work.
Beautiful. Here's hoping my inkling checks out.
So, see you at the afterlife soon as the job's done.
Do good, and this'll be the start of a beautiful friendship based on heaps of eddies.
So yeah, just take a look at the way he talks about doing business. It's so just by the book, and it's almost like in a movie you would watch in James Bond or something like that. It's a bad guy who's like, hey, you know, we gotta take these people out this way, and it's the only possible way. But no, this just seems like it's just normal. That's just how he goes about it, and it's not really like, oh, you're a bad guy for doing it. It's just everybody has to do that. You know, this is just basic everyday life, money or brutality. And if it takes brute strength, then you can bet your life that it takes money too. If you're not important or super rich, then you are nobody. Fashion and cyberware can only boost your coolness so far. Eventually, everything boils down to the hardcore need for currency, or, you know, in Cyberpunk 2077, they're called eddies. This makes the game's sensory overload. Produced by the combination of its aesthetics, I can't talk today, and soundtrack, all the more important as it accurately depicts what it would be like to live in Night City. This is one of the many reasons as to why the game is better in first person than it would have been in third person. Character customization is one thing, but immersion is another thing entirely. And in a world like this where everything is guttural and in your face, and you really need to understand the perspective, it's absolutely possible to become immersed in a narrative from a third-person perspective, as in Witcher 3 is one of the most highly immersed games, you know, that I've ever played, really. However, the degree of immersion in Cyberpunk extends past that of other video games, and that it's essential to just see the world from the perspective of the character. Well, why, you might ask? Well, so that you can feel as overwhelmed and intimidated as every other dreamer does in a city. You know, if you're on the lower level on the street and you're there with all the poverty, you need to be able to experience that. You don't need to have your camera hovering 30 feet behind the character where you're looking at all the skyscrapers and everything else going on. If you want to look at the skyscrapers, you need to look up. You know, it needs to be imposing on you. And if you're on the street level, you need to be at street level for immersion purposes. I think this is probably the best way to go about it. Obviously, they could allow for a mod or something like that, or just have the option for third person after you complete the game or whatever. Or even sometimes they'll even do that, like if you click third person at the beginning of the game, if they have that option, you could go, a little message could pop up, well, hey, your immersion will be severely inhibited if you'd like to continue, whatever. So they could do that, like a little disclaimer, stuff like that. I do definitely think that it should be up to the player for the most part. But that's why I love CD Projekt Red, because it's almost like a chef saying, no, the course needs to be served this way. You should have onion on this, right? Or something like that. That's almost the same way what they're doing with this game. It's like, no, the game should be played this way, and we're only going to allow it to be played that way because that's the way it's intended to be played that way. When somebody else just might not want to do that, right? But you could have just like a little disclaimer pops up like, hey, your gameplay will be inhibited, your immersion will be inhibited, but if you like to go forward, that's cool too. So I don't really know how I stand on that. I could see either way. But anyways, let's continue. I'm getting off on a tangent there. So the overwhelming nature of the city oppresses all of those who aspire to defeat it. In the gameplay trailer that was streamed on Twitch, we see that the protagonist partaking in the consumption of a substance by using inhalers. Now we know that these boosters, you know, will cause a implication of, you know, desensitization, excuse me, to whatever, you know, effect it might have. I suspect that, you know, these boosters, these inhalers, provide an effect more on the lines of uppers, possibly making us more hyper aware of the surroundings and increasing their faculty and sensory perception. You know, there's plenty of information on that, and we'll go through that in other videos. I don't want to put too much emphasis on that just because I haven't researched it all on how much of which one of these things will do what, as opposed to cyberware. Usually they're probably going to be like a short-term boost while in battle, stuff like that. And it'll probably just make you hyper aware of your surroundings and increase your faculty of sensory perception and stuff like that. Instead of escaping from the world around them, you know, you want to escape into it. They embrace these colors and the noise and the chaos, all provided by all of this stuff. But why embrace a world of chaos? It really makes no sense. Why not just leave? That can only mean that there's no future in Middle America. There's nothing there. Everything is in the cities. Everything is chaos. And in order to survive the dystopia, the player must embrace it, you know. And in order to chase their dreams, they need to remain unafraid. It's often that substance consumption is seen to be a form of escapism and distraction and deferral. In Cyberpunk 2077, it's a form of presence, immediacy, and survival. The ever-presence of needing a new brain dance is an escape away from the visceral, guttural life that you're living, right? And you can almost see how you yourself, instead of having to go through all those hard missions, may just want to sit there and use the brain dances and find new brain dances and see what other people are doing. Maybe these brain dances will help unlock different tidbits of the story. You'll need to use these brain dances to get backstory and see what happened in the past, right? Or just in general on how the super rich live. Maybe you'll rather do that instead of actually playing the game. Who knows? You might just fall into the trap just like everybody else. If the lights dim and the sounds become noise, the dreamer will be swallowed. In Cyberpunk 2077, this is truly a form of immediacy and survival. You're either in the know or you're falling behind. But maybe it's that visceral, nagging depression that forces you through, that forces each one of these quote dreamers, these people trying to ascend the corporate ladder, or just, you know, trying to make a way for themselves. Maybe that's what it is. They're afraid to stop, because once you stop, you die. And if you don't have enough money to avoid that trauma team, you know what I'm saying? You're done, boy. You're done. They have a clinic. Clinic ain't gonna come get you. You gotta go to them. So I don't know, guys. I don't know. But the fact is, the world of Cyberpunk 2077 is scary. It's deep. It's dark, and there's a whole lot more to it than what most of people understand. And that's really all I got for you guys today. I'm back on the Cyberpunk 2077 train. I might have some Red Dead Redemption 2 gameplay coming out. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think about that. Or, you know, let me know in the comment section what you think about Cyberpunk 2077, right? And if you have a habit of moonwalking in front of your neighbor's house at night, make sure you smack that like and subscribe. And until next time, piss off.
2 to the 1, 2, 3. I like good pussy and I like good trees. Smoke so much weed you wouldn't believe, and I get more ass than a toilet seat. 3 to the 1, 2, 3. I met a bad bitch last night in the D. Let me tell you how I made her leave with me. Conversation and Hennessy. I head to the motherfucking house.